that's maybe a video for a whole other day, or never, because I'm afraid of the Broadway Mafia. 2018 was a historic year for Broadway. It was the highest attended season ever. In fact, more people attended a Broadway show last year than attended all of New York's professional sports teams combined. And yet, this summer, Broadway investors are set to lose over $100 million. Yeah, you heard that correct. 100 million. How does that happen? Like, I can't even comprehend that number. That's so big. So what went wrong? How did this happen, and what is the aftermath? Buckle up, y'all, because we're about to get financial up in here. If this is your first time seeing my face, hi, my name's Katherine Steele. I really like musicals. This is my musical theater internet cult. If you're looking at a bunch of different cults and there's one cult that like won't stop singing and refuses to leave a Denny's parking lot at 2 a.m., that one is us. Welcome, welcome. Hit subscribe to join the cult. First we take over Broadway and then the world. Question of the day: what show or shows are you most sad to see leaving Broadway? It's unfortunate that these shows are closing, but I'm really heartbroken over Waitress. Waitress has such a special place in my heart, not just as a musical, but as a film. One of my favorite contemporary scores. It also means a lot to me in terms of YouTube, because I believe that was the first Broadway musical I ever reviewed as like a YouTuber. Waitress just means a lot to me, and I'm really sad to see it go. So let me know what shows you are most sad to see go in the comments down below. Since the Tony Awards this past June, a dozen Broadway shows have announced that they're closing. In fact, a 13th was added to the list the morning that I'm recording this. Waitress has just announced that it will be leaving the Brooks Atkinson Theater this January. That being said, that is a much longer lifespan and has been on Broadway much longer than all the other shows, but Waitress was kind of starting to seem that it was gonna become a staple. Yes, they've been using a heavy dose of celebrity casting to help maintain and boost ticket sales, so we all knew that something was going on, but I didn't think that Waitress would announce its closing this immediately. So I've been getting a lot of questions about what I feel and what I think about all these shows closing. Simple answer is that's the life cycle of a Broadway show. You know, shows have to close. That is, unless the nuclear apocalypse hits and Phantom is still running. I think Phantom might actually survive the apocalypse. I think it's really, really unfortunate that all of these actors, musicians, technicians are going to be out of work, but it is such an achievement to be able to make it to Broadway at all, so I'm just really, really proud of and happy for the shows that were able to do that incredible feat. Shows live and shows die, and that is the life cycle. But this summer, death is just running rampant. This is truly shocking. 13 shows have announced that they're closing in the span of 6 weeks, especially because we've been hearing all of these incredible, fantastic figures. I wrote this down. Last season was the highest attended, highest grossing Broadway season in history, with 1.8 billion in grosses. The year prior was 1.6 billion in grosses, and the year before that was 1.5 billion. So why the sudden closing and financial failure of all these shows? Well, according to Forbes, it's simple market correction. Basically, there are too many shows and not enough quality. Forbes paraphrased words, not mine. I just found this incredible Forbes article that broke down the capitalization of each of the shows that are closing, excluding Waitress, since it was just announced. And for those of you who don't know, because I didn't know what capitalization was, from my research, basically it's the amount of money that something costs to put up or to buy. It also factors in that this is something that is going to be paid off and used and run over a long period of time. So for instance, let's say a $20,000 car, that is the capitalization, $20,000. You're going to be able to use that car and pay off that car for a long time, but that doesn't take into account gas and getting your tires rotated, everything that goes along with running and operating a car. Because keep in mind that Broadway shows have a lot of running costs. They need to pay the actors, the technicians, the musicians, the front of house staff. They need to pay the electricity to keep the lights and the air conditioning on. So right now, Broadway investors are set to lose about $111 million. King Kong contributes a lot to that figure, coming in at a capitalization of $36.5 million. Following that, you've got the Cher Show at $19 million, Pretty Woman at $17 million, The Prom at $13.5 million, Be More Chill at $9 million, King Lear and Gary both at $4.9 million, Hillary and Clinton at $4.2 million, Frankie and Johnny at $4.1 million, which is closing a full month before its limited run was supposed to close. Here's what's really interesting is that 3 limited run plays have apparently recouped their money or are just about to sliding into the finish line. Those 3 limited run plays are The Ferryman, Burn This, and What the Constitution Means to Me. It appears like everything else will be exiting Broadway in the red, meaning that they've lost money. Of course, that does not include Beautiful the Musical or Waitress the Musical, both of which recouped their investments in 2014 and 2017 respectively. So now we ask the question, why is this happening and why so badly? Well, it seems like we're coming off of what Forbes is calling a box office boom, and this started in 2016. There have been a couple of major heavy hitters that have kind of rearranged the finances on Broadway, and those include Hamilton, Hello Dolly, I was shocked, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, and Springsteen, as in like Bruce Springsteen on Broadway. Of course, he is an incredibly famous, well-known, popular musician, performer, singer. This was a major opportunity to bring in non-Broadway attendees to Broadway. All of the shows profited in this kind of ripple effect. When Springsteen left Broadway, ticket prices for Broadway shows almost immediately declined 10%. Again, when you had all of these huge juggernauts hit Broadway all in a row, Hamilton, Harry Potter, Bruce Springsteen, this drove up ticket prices because so many people who weren't seeing Broadway were coming to Broadway. And now we're suffering the fallout of that. Unfortunately, Forbes is predicting that 2019 won't sell super well either. Long-running shows with high profit margins are estimated to continue to thrive, but newcomer shows might have difficulty maintaining and gaining the momentum to stay on Broadway or to even turn a profit. Like we said, this is market correction. There is an oversaturation of product and only the most sellable will survive. And that doesn't necessarily mean the highest quality art or critically acclaimed or fan favorites, just most sellable. So what is the aftermath of this? What is the correlation? Why does any of this matter? So aside from the obvious that shows leave Broadway, shows leave New York, you can no longer see those shows, what's interesting now to take a look at is how these shows are going to recoup the money, or how they're going to try to at least. 2 really big ways to do that are through licensing, which the Prom is doing, which I think is spectacular. The Prom is going to be a perfect regional theater show, community theater show, educational theater. I am all for everyone doing the Prom, like please. Or you can go on tour. Some of the shows that are closing have announced their national tours. Some shows that are even currently running have already launched national tours or announced future tours, like for Oklahoma. Of course, both Frozen and Mean Girls are set to hit the road later this year, despite the fact that they are concurrently running on Broadway. There are tons of other shows that are always running tours, like Wicked and Phantom of the Opera. Waitress had a national tour concurrently while the show was running on Broadway. I saw the national tour with my dad. I took him to go see it for his birthday last year, and we had the best time. Fantastic cast. Desi Oakley is my queen. But recently announced was a second national tour of Waitress, but in a slightly different way. This second national tour of Waitress is non-union, which I think kind of makes sense. It's a second national tour. People love Waitress. This is a way for Waitress to make some money. It's also a way to potentially lower ticket prices for this tour. Because the tour is non-union, everyone in the tour is making a lot less money. This potentially allows them to lower ticket prices so fans who wouldn't be able to afford a Broadway ticket price can go see their musical on tour. I support both union and non-union shows. I think there are pros and cons to each, and I think it just depends on the show itself, the venue, when the tour is taking place. So many different factors go into that. But there are a lot of interesting finances and politics that go into tour pricing and tour union status. There are conspiracy theories, there are shady choices. It's a very tricky subject and not one that has a clear-cut answer. That's maybe a video for a whole other day, or never, because I'm afraid of the Broadway Mafia. Wait, what if there was a Broadway Mafia? What if they were all wearing wing-tipped laducas? So that is how Broadway is set to lose $100 million this summer. For more information on this, I'll link the Forbes article down below. If you guys like this video, or if you like kind of more industry, adult, technical-y things about Broadway, let me know. If you thought this video was interesting, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. It really helps me out and I'd really appreciate it. If you're new here and you love Broadway, hit subscribe. Join the theater cult. I hope you guys are having a great day. I love you so much. Break a leg, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!